Sup bitches. I'm back again, and this time I have another character I designed. I have a lot of things to talk about again this time. So sometimes I'll be a little bit quiet if I have to like remember something I wanted to say about this character. Um, so please bear with me. This will probably be a pretty long video or just very unedited, like usual. Okay. I'm just gonna kind of rant about this character in whatever order I like. So, this character is called Inferno. I have actually drawn him before on my YouTube channel. If you go look at my previous videos, somewhere in there you'll find a similar looking guy to this dude. But he looks a lot more muscular and human-like here. So if you want to, you can also go watch the previous video where I already made a sketch of him a while ago. So this time I completed his design a bit more. I finished up some of the rough edges, and this time I will actually be explaining this character a bit more than last time. Basically, this character is a lot more special than some of the others I've designed before. Not that I have that many videos about that yet, but you get the point. The reason why Inferno over here is special compared to the other characters and way more important is because I will probably make a lot more future videos on him as well. He's not some character that's gonna have one video dedicated to him and then left behind. Inferno is part of an ID I have for a little TV show that you could have like on Netflix or whatever. Sorry, I need to sometimes zoom out so you can see my hand a little bit. Anyway, so previously I made a video a while ago about an idea I had for a video game called Haunted, and so this is also like an idea I had for a TV show, and the show would probably be called like Celestials or something. And basically, this guy over here is the main character of the show. And so, in a future video, I will probably explain the idea of the show a bit better. But today, we're just gonna go over his backstory and analyze his design a little bit. And every now and then, there will be something new I want to say about him, or maybe there's something I forgot in this video, or I will upgrade his design. So I will probably make multiple videos on him and keep making updates and stuff. Okay, to get started, basically Inferno's life takes place in a universe similar to our universe in real life. But in his case, the planet Earth and the solar system is a lot different. So kind of like in Skylanders, you have like the elements. You have like, for example, fire, water, earth. You know the kind of stuff what I mean. And so this is kind of similar of a situation. So Inferno over here lives on planet Earth, but around Earth, the solar system has like elemental planets, yada yada yada. You get the point. And on Earth, you have all the elements kind of like on in one spot. And Inferno is one of the earlier generations of humans living on Earth. And the earlier humans are sort of like how do you say it, like elemental benders in like an avatar. So you have like humans that like can bend the elements, and they can like master their skills and stuff. Already you can kind of get an idea of where this kind of story is going without having to explain too much. But again, to focus on Inferno, so Inferno is one of these early humans from civilizations, from the earlier generations of humans who can bend elements. And so he is part of a tribe that can bend fire. And so there's multiple tribes for elements and stuff. You kind of get the point. And so they live around places on Earth where they do their tribe things, yada yada yada. I'll get further into that in a future video maybe. And so Inferno is born as a human in the tribe, and later on he becomes the tribe leader basically. and he goes on a lot of cool adventures as a human, and he learns to master his skills with fire. He can do a lot of cool stuff with it, even almost like kind of telekinesis, but with fire. It's a little complicated, but I'll explain it later. And then to summarize the story real quick, Inferno, as a human, will be maybe like called Midas or something. I just thought that was a really cool name. Midas sounds cool for him. And he would usually he would kind of look like this really big blonde muscular man with like tribal tattoos on his. Wait. Oh, sorry. Okay. For a second, I thought someone came inside of the home, but there's no one. So he would be like a human, really big and muscular, with blonde hair and a beard and a scar, with like an eye scar just like here, and he would be covered in like brown tribal tattoos with like fire symbols. And so Inferno, aka Midas, basically dies in a war when he's like 50 years old, pretty much. Because he has to like fight against like a sort of, how to say it, another tribe, basically an ice a water tribe gets corrupted, because one dude takes kills the leader of the tribe and hypnotizes the rest of the tribe, and he goes to war with the fire tribe to take them over as well. So Inferno and his tribe go to battle against the other tribe. And Inferno has to sacrifice himself because they're losing the battle, because water against fire is obviously pretty strong. And at the end, he channels all his power to basically make everything around him explode, but he does it so hard that his organs internally burn and he dies. So at the end, the corrupt water tribe is dead, and basically his tribe mates survive, but Inferno is dead. And so that same evening, I think, they put him on a campfire, and they hold their funeral, and they sort of like sacrifice him. They hold a ritual around the campfire. They dance, they sing, and in this TV show ID I had, you basically have like elemental gods that can help out and stuff. You kind of get the point. So you have good gods, and you have also like bad, like demigods. And because they were like dancing and singing, they accidentally sort of did a ritual, and they summoned the bad fire god to revive Midas, aka Inferno. And so out of the campfire suddenly swoops like a big flame in the air. And you have to remember, Midas is laying on this campfire, his corpse is there. And so a big thing of fire swoops up in the air, and like a gnarly face comes out, almost like a ghost made of fire. And so it detaches from the campfire, and like I said, it becomes kind of like a fire ghost, and it flies off into the distance off a mountain, and the other tribe members never get to see him again. So Midas is revived, but now as a ghost made of fire. Basically, his soul gets embedded with fire. And I don't have a drawing for that yet, so you'll kind of have to use your imagination. And he basically loses most of his memory and human skills. He becomes kind of like a ghoul, like a shell of what he once was. So he wanders the earth as a fire ghost for like hundreds of years, and eventually he starts progressing, and he starts to regain his intelligence, and he gets stronger and smarter and becomes more like a human again after some time. And after a lot of time of wandering around the earth aimlessly, he basically finds a smith that uses magic to create really strong armor. And so the smith gets the smith to make special armor for him, which is this one here, that is resistant to fire, or at least resistant enough, because Inferno is now a ghost and he needs a new body. But of course he can't possess like a human or another creature, or it just burns to death. So he gets to use this armor. He basically flies inside, and now he possesses this armor as a human body replacement, kind of. So from here, he starts learning a lot more, a lot faster. He starts being able to speak again, being able to remember some things again, and it basically kind of goes on like this. And so again, this is kind of like a fire ghost possessing an armor, and the armor kind of becomes alive, basically. So Inferno then goes on bounties that he takes to repay the smith as a thank you, and also to give some money for himself, so he can rebuild his life. And over a course of events, the tribes from previously, they kind of die out, and this super like the super race of like elemental benders kind of dies out a little bit over the years. And by now, Inferno is really old. Like he starts to get more over like 1,000 years old. And fast forward, a bunch of historical events happen. Inferno does a bunch of cool stuff. He even becomes like a king or something. Now we're in a more modern year. We're like I think 3,000 years later or something. I'm not sure about the timeline yet, how I would time it. And so now you have to kind of use your imagination a little bit. So basically now we live in a world where it's similar to the modern world, but it's not like how do you say it? Because the development and the historical events on this planet, in this franchise, are so much different, so is the average day there. They don't have like how do you say it? They have technology, advanced technology, but not like the same kind of we do. You could kind of compare it to the technology they have in The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, for reference. So it's kind of like that. They have cool like robots. They have soul technology, all that kind of cool stuff. They have all of that, but it's not like they have like New York buildings and cities made out of concrete. So it's kind of like Breath of the Wild, sort of. And so people still live in tribes, kind of, but now they also have explored a lot more of the planet. So now there's other areas on Earth where the culture is completely different. So you would kind of have areas where you would have concrete cities and stuff. So now Inferno is part of this famous, like how do you say it, hero force that works around the globe. And because of the technology, they also got to explore other planets which contain like the elements with entire ecosystems. So now we can have people from and creatures from around the solar system that all have different kinds of cool elemental powers, and they all how do you say it? They can all go to Earth and to other planets to rescue people with their cool powers. So now you basically have like an entire global team of superheroes that can all be sent everywhere with teleportation technology to help everyone, right? And so we have Inferno. He's part of this hero team, and he's one of the top leaders of the fire elements, because everyone gets classified in elements to make it easier to go on missions, because each element has their own strengths and downsides. And so Inferno is one of the fire characters who works there. And now we can actually analyze his design a little bit, now that I've got his backstory a little bit out of the way. So, Inferno, you can see he's got like a red and gold color scheme. And again, fire ghost possessing armor. So, he has a lot of scars, you'll notice, on his body. And this is because... Wait, if I go look at here... If you look at his bicep, he has like a rusty scar there, and he has a lot of scratches and stuff. And this is basically because the way he possesses the armor kind of becomes like a human body to him. So his scars, the scars he had before his death, he also gets on the armor if he possesses it. And a lot of scratches as well, and he can kind of tense up the armor like muscles, even though it's made out of metal. And when he flexes his muscles, he also gets a lot more durable. He can take a lot more damage, and he can pretty much like go through walls when he flexes his muscles. And his face, you can kind of see, is also like a golden plated like face. with like a fire beard and like fire hair and eyebrows and eyes and an eye scar here as well. And his face would be able to move, like I said, just like the muscles. The metal would be able to like bend and move, so he would have a pretty expressive face for someone with a face made of metal. So he would be able to move his mouth and his eyes and stuff. And the way he would speak, if he would want to speak, you would kind of hear like the voice of his ghost echoing when he talks. And you can kind of see that this head is kind of like floating above the armor a little bit, kind of. And so here we have a little hatch, kind of like a furnace hatch that can open up, and he can kind of like let his soul swoop out of there if he wants to. And then here we have a big scar and like a golden pattern on his chest. And you can see the armor is really built kind of like a sort of, if the human body was like a piece of armor. He has shoulders, and then here he has like fists with spikes on them and a little pattern again. And here I even gave him armpit hair made of fire. Here he also has like some fire coming out from his like shoulder gaps. And here also from the foot, he has like fire bursting out of here. And then here he has this sword. The sword is actually pretty special, so you can see it has like some cool signs on it as well. It looks pretty cool. He can set the sword on fire, and if you look here, you will see a little gem in the middle of the sword. To summarize the story about the sword really quick, Inferno over here basically goes on a mission to find special soul gems. So the smith can link this gem, he can put the gem into the sword, and then with magic, because again like magic and technology is a big thing in this universe, he can link the sword to his soul. So this sword basically becomes way better than a normal sword, because now, because it's linked to him, he can do a lot of things with the sword. For example, say this is like Inferno's hand, right? He would be able to summon the sword out of nowhere because it's linked to his soul, and it would kind of appear out of fire. Like he could make the sword appear out of thin air, so he wouldn't have to constantly carry the sword around. And he also has a shield that can do this as well, but he doesn't use the shield as much, so you don't see it here. And so what he would be able to do with his bending powers, because again he's like a fire master, he would for example be able to throw the sword and kind of like, how do you say it? Because he can control the sword with his fire powers, he would be able to kind of use the sword as a very unique weapon. He could make it come back like a boomerang. He could, how do you say it? He could use it as a grapple hook because it would be attached with like a fire string to him. So you can imagine this has a lot of cool possibilities, and he can do a lot of things with the sword. And then he also has a shield when he needs to bash through walls. Because Inferno can actually be very fast. He's not only strong and very durable when he tenses up his muscles, but he can also shoot fire out of his boots and out of his hands to fly. So Inferno is also a very fast character that can also be in the air, and he can also shoot fire through his boots to run very fast and stuff. So wait, what was I on about? To get to the point again. So yeah, whenever Inferno wants to like dash forward, he can use his shield that he can also summon to bash into enemies, because that makes it easier. And on top of that, he also has, you can see it here, but Inferno, after a while, because his soul is inside of the armor for a lot of the time, he kind of grows, how do you say it? He grows like brimstone crust on the inside of the armor after a few months. Kind of like how you would grow your fingernails, or how you would grow snot in your nose, or you would grow your hair. After a while, Inferno would start to grow like a volcano rock on the inside. So he would kind of get like a rock body on the inside for extra defense. And it would be filled with lava. And inside that rock body, there would be a golden chains in the fists that he would be able to whip out, and then he could wrap them around his fists to punch his enemies with his bare fists, just to make it extra painful. So Inferno would be a character that would slice criminals up with his sword. He would bash them with his shield, and he would be able to fly really fast. And he would punch them very hard with his fists, and he could be able to almost go through walls and stuff. And I think you get the point. I'm pretty sure I have shown most of his design now. I think that's everything, right? And so for some more of his attacks, Inferno would be able to use fire in very creative ways, because again, he's like a firebender, kind of. Inferno would be able to make to do things like making explosive things around him, like say cans of oil, for example, of gasoline. He would be able to make big cans of gasoline around him explode, kind of like telekinesis. He would be able to just kind of crouch down and just focus, and kind of in like a meditative state, and then he would be able to just make things around him just explode on the spot. He would be able to do things like throwing fireballs, spitting fire, and he would be able to concentrate his attacks to do all kinds of different things. He would be able to, for example, shoot a fireball, and then he could make the fireball explode on someone. Or he could kind of take off his face, like kind of like a mask, and he would kind of see his ghost face, and then he would be able to shoot like a big beam of fire onto the enemy, and it would almost evaporate them instantly. He would be able to like charge up a really, really big, like almost kind of like a mini sun in his two hands, and throw it onto the ground to make everything explode. He would be able to make himself explode, kind of like a creeper, but he wouldn't die because now he has fire-resistant armor. He could use his sword as a long-ranged weapon, because he could throw it and he could make it come back. And Inferno, another cool idea I had is, because he's a ghost and he can possess people, what if he was just able to go out of his little hatch and go out of the armor, let the armor drop down, and then if he sees an enemy that he has to kill, he could possess the enemy and then set them on fire and make them die. So that's a very brutal way to kill a criminal. But the whole thing in this universe would be that criminals are like really, really bad people. So you wouldn't have to worry about killing them, because they kind of deserve it. Yeah, I think that's most of his attacks as far as I can remember right now. So this really paints a picture. You can tell, like, fast fire ghost dudes in armor that can fly, beat people up, possess them. He could bend fire, slice them up with his shield and bash them with his slice them up with his sword and bash them with his shield. So I think that's most of the important stuff you need to know about him right now. Now, again, I will make more videos about him probably, because there will always be something new to talk about him, because I'll keep updating the design and stuff, because I really like this idea. I really like fire characters and swords, so I really like this dude I came up with. And now this video is already pretty long, and most of you have probably clicked off already, for the last few things I'll say in this video today, Inferno also has like a bunch of friends in the hero team I talked about. He has close connections with everyone. Also, he is like, because he's so old, he's lived like 3,000 years, I think. He has already had multiple wives, and he has a lot of children, and I think, one of them also works in the hero team. And later on, Inferno will, in the idea for the show I had, I'm trying to do like the finger sign, but I'm only doing it with one hand because I'm holding my phone, sorry for that. Inferno will get to beat a lot of really bad like criminals and villains later on in this show idea I had. So yeah, he's a pretty cool character. I'm very proud of the design. The sketch is still pretty basic because I made this in an hour, but I think he looks really cool if you just look at him. Um, and I think that's everything for today. Yeah, okay. I really hope this video doesn't get like 5 views because I really like this. I'm very passionate about this character, and I hope you really like the video if you watched this far. So please leave a like or subscribe or whatever, since it helps out, of course, and it motivates me to keep making cool characters like these. And that's everything. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's everything. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one. Bye, bitches.